Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to have you here again. We appreciate your presence with us today. We have a captivating new tale to unveil for you. Let's embark on this journey together. My name is James, and for the past decade, I believed I was in a strong and fulfilling marriage. I navigate the open roads as a trucker, one of those individuals you spot steering massive rigs across the landscape, transporting a diverse array of goods, from nourishing meals to cherished furnishings. Though the work is challenging, it provides for my needs, and for a long while, I held on to the belief that my efforts were driven by noble intentions. Jessica and I have woven our lives together, creating a tapestry of shared moments and deep connection. We shared a connection, a bond, or so I believed. My affection for her ran deep, and I felt certain that her feelings mirrored my own. From the very beginning, we shared an understanding that children would not be part of our journey together. Neither of us desired it, and we found comfort in that understanding. We moved in harmony, embracing our unique style of connection. I dedicated long hours to my work, while she gracefully managed everything at home. That was the understanding we shared. I'll be honest, trucking presents its challenges. Your life is a whirlwind, filled with late nights, shifting plans, and fleeting moments to pause before the next adventure calls. There are moments when I envision a weekend spent at home, only to have an unexpected delivery arise, gently nudging me to linger a little longer away. That's simply how it unfolded. Yet, regardless of how draining the work became, I always found a way to return home whenever possible. For me, marriage transcended the mere exchange of finances and responsibilities. It was about the essence of connection, the beauty of simply existing in the moment. Regardless of my exhaustion, my heart longed to be with Jessica at home. I held a vision of what marriage should embody, and for a significant period, I felt we shared that understanding. I realize now that I misjudged the situation. I recall the moment I sensed a shift in the connection between Jessica and me. Jessica and I had shared 7 years of marriage by that time, and throughout much of our journey together, there was a comforting sense of stability. We may not have been the most fervent couple, but there was a certain harmony between us. Upon returning home from my long journeys, I was always met with her warm embrace, a gentle kiss, and a palpable joy that filled the air, welcoming me back into her world. Yet, in that moment, a change began to unfold. The first thing that caught my attention was her withdrawal from initiating any moments of closeness. In the past, she would tease playfully, share light-hearted jokes, or draw me near as we enjoyed our time together in front of the screen. Yet that came to a halt. Initially, I wondered if perhaps she was feeling weary or overwhelmed. I understand, life can wear us down, but this feels deeper than just a challenging week or a tough month. It evolved into a familiar rhythm. Had I not taken that initial step, everything would have remained untouched. And even when I did, it began to seem as though she was merely following a routine, as if her actions were driven by obligation rather than desire. Then there were the messages. During my travels, we would often exchange messages, sharing small moments and inquiring about the journey I was on. Yet, all at once, her replies grew brief and less frequent. I'd send a message, and the hours would stretch on, filled with anticipation, as I waited for a reply that sometimes never came. And when she did respond, her words were often soft and understated, a gentle okay or a quiet yeah. There's a lingering silence, a void where questions about my day should be, leaving me yearning for connection. It felt as though she was gradually drifting apart. Initially, I reassured myself that it's natural for people to find comfort in their relationships, isn't it? Yet, as time passed, the pattern became impossible to overlook. Our entire connection had shifted to a place of imbalance. I found myself consistently extending my hand, crafting moments, and nurturing the connection between us. Without my initiation, our words remained unspoken. If I hadn't proposed we share moments together, we would have merely existed side by side, like two distant souls rather than a united couple. I held on to the hope that we would find our way back to each other. Yet as time passed, the years slipped by and the space between us widened. I found it difficult to acknowledge that the solitude I experienced in my marriage was deeper than any loneliness I felt while traveling. One evening, I felt utterly spent after a long day spent on the road. Trucking is more than a mere occupation. It's a way of being. There are moments when I envision a quiet evening at home, only to be drawn away by an unexpected delivery that offers just the right incentive to keep me engaged. That is precisely what unfolded. I believed I would return in a day, yet what began as 2 days gracefully unfolded into 3. When I finally returned home, my only desires were to wash away the day, savor a comforting meal, and drift into a peaceful slumber. I felt no need to reach out to Jessica about my return home. She had grown accustomed to the ebb and flow of my unpredictable schedule. Upon entering, I felt the stillness envelop me, save for a soft murmur drifting from the back porch. Jessica was lost in conversation on the phone. She might have been sharing her thoughts with her sister or confiding in a close friend. I slipped off my boots and made my way to the kitchen, reaching for a glass in the cabinet and filling it with cool, refreshing water. The sensation of soothing my throat consumed my thoughts, leaving me only vaguely aware of the words being spoken. As I made my way toward the bedroom, the distance to the porch shrinking, her voice reached me with a clarity that stirred something deep within. I'm on my limit with him. I find myself questioning my presence in this moment. I paused, caught a moment of stillness. My mind swirled, trying to grasp the weight of what had just been revealed. Could it be that she was speaking of me? Surely, that can't be true. Then I caught the sound of her soft sigh. A moment of stillness. The voice on the other end whispered something that eluded my understanding. And then she spoke again, her voice resonating with a warmth that filled the air. He feels almost too perfect in this moment. Parting ways with him feels like an overwhelming task. It has been years since my heart felt that warmth for him. Words fail to capture the depth of my feelings at this moment. For more than 10 years, I held on to the belief that I had a companion, a person who cherished me, despite the imperfections that surrounded us. I devoted my nights, my moments, and my ease to ensure that our life together flourished. And yet, in her own words, I was merely a duty, a convenience, someone she found difficult to endure. I entered the bedroom, my steps leading me to the bed where I settled on the edge, my gaze drifting down to the floor. My hands lingered on my knees, yet my mind drifted far beyond the present moment. I found myself adrift in contemplation. Was she merely playing a role all along? As I reflected on our time together, I searched for that pivotal moment when everything began to change. Had I been unaware, or was she simply that skilled at concealing her true self? As I reflected on it, a profound sense of uncertainty washed over me, revealing just how little I truly understood the person I had shared my life with. I lingered in that position, lost in the passage of time, unaware of how long I remained there. Time felt fluid, slipping through my fingers like a gentle breeze. Time seemed to lose its meaning. Then the bedroom door softly opened. Jessica entered, her gaze expanding with a rush of emotion in that instant. She caught my gaze before she masked her true feelings with a nonchalant facade. "Oh, I wasn't aware of your arrival," she murmured. She understood. Perhaps she was unaware of the extent of my understanding, yet there was an unspoken awareness that lingered between us. I remained silent. I simply nodded, feeling the weight of my emotions too profound to articulate. I found myself at a loss for words, caught between the fragility of my emotions and the intensity of my frustration. I observed her pause, lingering in a way that suggested there was so much more she wished to express. Without a second look at her, I rose from the bed and softly murmured something about needing shower. I let the silence linger, not seeking an answer. I stepped into the bathroom, gently securing the door behind me before letting the soothing sound of water fill the space. I stood beneath the cascade, allowing the warm water to envelop me, yet it failed to ease the heaviness that lingered in my heart. I lost track of time in that moment. Time seemed to stretch and bend, a fleeting moment that felt both brief and endless. Yet, as I finally emerged, I chose not to enter the bedroom with her. I found myself longing for something deeper than her attempts at small talk, and the weight of her silence felt almost unbearable. I found myself in the living room, the glow of the TV illuminating the space as I settled in, my gaze fixed on the screen, lost in thought and feeling rather than truly observing. Typically, I would return home with a tale or two, perhaps a humorous encounter from the journey or an unusual sight at a truck stop. Words eluded me tonight, leaving a silence that felt heavy yet profound. And Jessica? She remained silent. When I finally settled in a bed, she was already lost in her dreams. I lay there all night, gazing at the ceiling, lost in thoughts about whether this was her true feeling. So, what was keeping me here still? As the soft glow of dawn began to filter through the window, clarity enveloped my thoughts. I was on the verge of departing. I rose quietly, gliding through the house like a whisper in the night. I gathered only the essentials, a handful of cherished belongings. What about the rest? It held no significance. I found myself yearning to break free from the connections that anchored me here. I chose not to leave a note. As I emerged from the warmth of my home and embraced the gentle caress of the early morning air, uncertainty lingered in the horizon, yet it held no weight in my heart. I felt a deep certainty that whatever lay ahead would surpass the experience of being with someone who lingered by my side out of mere complacency. Jessica yearned for a life filled with simplicity and ease. At last, she possessed it. I was certain Jessica would remain unaware for the time being. My work has always infused a sense of unpredictability into my life. I might set out for just a day, yet find myself swept away for an entire week, caught in the unexpected twists of delays or last-minute deliveries. She had grown accustomed to that. Typically, when I would slip away while she was still dreaming, I'd reach out with a message in the morning or give her a call later to see how she was doing. Yet in this moment, there was no need to. Before departing the town, I paused at the bank, carefully withdrawing as much cash as I could, ensuring that I remained under the radar. I reached for my phone, gently extracted the SIM card, and with a decisive motion, broke it in two. That small fragment of plastic was the sole connection she held to me, and now it had vanished. Silence lingers. No texts. Understood. No explanations will be provided. I understood that she would eventually seek me out, yet I was aware that the journey wouldn't be simple. Truckers exist in a realm distinct from the conventional 9-to-5 routine. We drift from one moment to the next, and many of those I collaborated with were equally elusive, always moving, always changing. Even if she sought the opinions of others, no one would offer her a clear response. Perhaps I had ventured to the north. Perhaps I had chosen a different path. Perhaps I was lingering on a journey, lost in thought. It would lead to a quiet conclusion. With my phone silent and connections severed, I drove on, the highway unfolding before me like an endless promise. With no destination to guide me, I embraced the journey of distance itself. I found myself in a quaint Texas town, where the air is thick with unspoken understanding and the locals keep their curiosities to themselves. It was exquisite. No one truly saw me. No one anticipated anything from me. I was simply a man embarking on a new journey. In the months that followed, I anticipated a wave of regret or perhaps a twinge of guilt for leaving my marriage in such a manner. Yet, as the days flowed into weeks and the weeks unfolded into months, I came to understand that Jessica was not a presence I longed for. I came to realize that silence held a depth beyond mere solitude. It was a moment of tranquility. I embraced various tasks, not out of necessity, but from a desire to explore the possibilities. On certain days, I found myself at a local auto shop, immersed in the art of restoring trucks reminiscent of those I once drove on long, winding journeys across the country. On some days, I tended to the gardens of elderly neighbors, receiving warm, home-cooked meals as my reward instead of money. It transcended the mere value of currency. I had gathered enough to sustain myself. It was about embracing a moment for myself, an experience that transcended the mundane and felt purely personal. For once, I found myself free from the weight of ensuring another's ease. I was embracing life in my own way. And then there were the souls. In my previous existence, the moments of connection I experienced were limited to fleeting exchanges with fellow truckers at rest stops or the gentle conversations that Jessica would graciously engage in. Yet in this moment, in this place, I discovered genuine connections. Individuals who embraced me without concern for my origins, who only inquired about my history if I chose to reveal it. We would gather after work, sharing inexpensive beers and engaging in heartfelt conversations about life, our jobs, and the hidden gems for burgers around town. Subtle pleasures. Yet, there were elements I had long overlooked, unaware of their absence until now. The most delightful aspect? I was free from any commitments. Embrace the moment without any demands. There's an absence of anticipation as I arrive. No one here to greet me. No one waiting with bated breath for my return. Whenever the desire for adventure stirred within me, I embraced it wholeheartedly. If I felt the need to linger in the warmth of my dreams, I embraced it fully. Every choice I made was driven by desire, not obligation. And that was a form of liberation I had never experienced before. I never imagined that Jessica would reach out to me once more. After a year of absence, I found myself weaving together the threads of a new existence. A place where I could rise each day without the weight of feeling like a burden in my own sanctuary. Even now, the mystery lingers within me. Did she reconnect with her old trucking companions? Or did she enlist someone's help? Who can say? One afternoon, my phone chimed softly, displaying a number that felt unfamiliar yet intriguing. I responded instinctively. As soon as her voice reached my ears, a flutter of anticipation stirred within me. "James, it's just me." At first, I remained silent. What words could capture the moment? Yet her voice lingered on, weaving through the air. Her voice trembled, as if she had practiced this exchange countless times before. She confided in me that her words from that night were never intended to carry the weight they did, that she was simply expressing her feelings. She felt a deep sense of frustration, struggling to find the words to convey her emotions. She had the audacity to express that her feelings for me remained strong. Yet, I found myself lost in the echoes of her words, revisiting them time and again throughout the year. And I felt the truth within me. She had simply been expressing her feelings. She had spoken her truth. She simply never anticipated that I would catch her words. Initially, I chose to overlook her presence. I silenced her presence without uttering a single sound. Yet she continued on her path. She sent various messages, pouring her heart into long, heartfelt texts. Words woven with remorse, heartfelt vows, and lingering sorrow. She expressed the profound sense of emptiness that lingered in the house in my absence. How she found herself restless in the quiet of the night. How she had stumbled into a profound misstep. She attempted to evoke a sense of remorse in me, expressing that my departure had caused her pain. I realize now that I should have allowed her the opportunity to share her side, that we could mend this. Yet, there was nothing that needed mending. I perceived the longing beneath the surface. She felt no regret for her words. She felt a deep sense of regret for what had unfolded. She believed I would remain by her side, regardless of the minimal effort she invested in our union. As I turned to leave, it wasn't affection that compelled her to follow me. It was the moment she understood that her sense of security had slipped away. In the end, I offered her what she sought, a reply that resonated. It wasn't the one she had longed for. I promised her I would return. Yet, it seems not for you. I'm returning to bring closure to our marriage. Stillness. In that moment, amidst the countless exchanges and conversations, she found herself enveloped in silence, unable to find the words to express her thoughts. In truth, it didn't matter to me at all. Reflecting on my journey, I never imagined I would become the kind of man who simply fades away. That wasn't how it was meant to unfold. When I departed, it wasn't my intention to disappear for all time. I simply wished for her to grasp the depth of what it means to experience loss. I longed for her to awaken one day and understand that I was not merely a background presence in her life, like an overlooked piece of furniture that only draws attention when it is no longer there. Yet, as time passed in my absence, a deeper understanding began to unfold within me. I found myself untroubled by her absence, not in the slightest. And if I didn't long for her, what was the purpose of returning? The signs were present from the very beginning, waiting to be acknowledged. The moment she ceased her messages while I was journeying down the road, her fingers brushed against me only when I took the first step, a delicate dance of desire and hesitation. For years, I convinced myself it was merely a challenging moment, a phase that every couple encounters. Yet, the reality? The reality was that I merely served as a source of comfort for her. I took care of the bills. I offered her a sense of grounding. Yet, what of love? That had faded away long ago, and I was either too lost in my dreams or too trusting to recognize it. In the midst of all this chaos, I've come to realize that true affection cannot be found in mere convenience. To be merely accepted is a far cry from being truly valued. If someone stays by your side merely because the thought of leaving feels overwhelming, then they are not truly your companion. They are simply someone who occupies the jammies moment with you. And if you ever reach a moment where it feels necessary to plead for effort, you are already drifting away. Is there something else on your mind? If someone fails to appreciate your worth, gently step away. Please, let's not engage in a disagreement. Refrain from elaborating. Simply go. If they truly valued you, there would be no need to vie for their focus from the outset. And believe me, when you take that step back, you'll discover the serenity that had been eluding you. What is the most profound lesson of all? Always pay attention to the subtle hints that life offers. If you sense a lack of desire, it's likely that it reflects the truth of your situation. If you find yourself frequently questioning whether someone still holds love for you, the answer is likely already within your heart. For years, I sensed the subtle hints all around me. I turned a blind eye to them, yearning to hold on to the image of her that captured my heart. Yet that version had faded away. Ultimately, I found myself embracing the truth despite the ache it brought to my heart. Now, I long to listen to your thoughts. How would you have responded if you were in my situation? Would you have lingered and faced her? Would you have embraced her once more? Or would you have walked away, just as I did? Share your thoughts with me in the comments. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. There may be a soul who longs to receive these words.